unless we harness the potential of every American and ensure that their skills match up to the work of the future. And that starts with education, especially in fields like science and technology and engineering and math. We cannot sustain, whoops, was that my, oh, goodness. That's all right. All of you know who I am.
Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, we took a public HIV test.
It's been quite a year since I've spoken here last. Lots of ups, lots of downs, except for my approval ratings, which have just gone down. But that's politics. It doesn't bother me. Besides, I happen to know that my approval ratings are still very high in the country of my birth.
His home country in Kenya.
I want to know, why are you people ignoring his birth certificate? He is not an American citizen. He is a citizen of Kenya.
The Social Security number that Barack Obama is using or used in 2009 in his tax returns, which is 042684425, was never assigned to him. Actually found who was it was assigned to. It was an individual born in 1890 who was an immigrant in this country. He came from Russia, actually.
Even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems.
In 1918, intelligence services of the Western powers were buzzing with reports that communism was an international conspiracy fomented by atheistic Jews. British, Dutch, American, and other intelligence reports confirmed that Jews filled the Bolshevik ranks and that as much as 75% of all Soviet commissars were Jewish. Jews, then, have played an enormous role in the Soviet experiment. Yet, as the Jewish Encyclopedia, in its article on socialism, again tells us, the passion of many Jews to socialize the world was not confined to Russia. As peddlers of socialism, it tells us, Jews must be reckoned among the pioneers of the socialist parties in America.
There is that small, closely knit group of administration Democrats who are now the complete prisoners and under the complete domination of the bureaucratic communistic Frankenstein which they themselves have created. Ladies and gentlemen, they shouldn't be called that administration Democrat Party. To call them Democrats is an insult to the millions of loyal American Democrats. They shouldn't be called Democrats. They should be referred to properly as the Commie-Crap Party.
Generally speaking, we get the joke. We know that the free market is nonsense. We know that the whole point is to game the system, to beat the market, or at least find someone who'll pay you a lot of money because they're convinced that there is a free lunch. We know this is largely about power, that it's an adults-only, no-limit game. We kind of agree with Mao that political power comes largely from the barrel of a gun.
And then the third lesson and tip actually come from two of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa. Not often coupled with each other, but the two people that I turn to most.
Barack Obama talked tough on Chinese debt.
You can't take out a credit card from the Bank of China.
Then Obama needed more debt to finance his stimulus. Now we owe billions more to China, and Obama's given China a free pass to keep manipulating its currency, undercutting U.S. manufacturers. Even Democrats say Obama's policy is wrong, costing American jobs. The more Obama borrows from China, the more we'll have to bow to China.
In 1947, when Mao Zedong was being challenged within his own party on his plan to basically take China over, Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalist Chinese held the cities, they had the army, they had the Air Force, they had everything on their side. And people said, how can you win? How can you do this? How can you do this? Against all of the odds against you. And Mao Zedong said, you know, you fight your war and I'll fight mine.
Washington, D.C. on Sunday to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. They marked the occasion by raising the red Chinese national flag alongside America's stars and stripes. Event organizers said it was the first time the Chinese national flag has been raised in a public place in America's capital city.
Manhattan's tallest building is drawing criticism from New Yorkers. It's over a decision to honor the 60th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party's takeover of China by shining red and yellow lights.
The relationship between the United States and China will shape the 21st century, which makes it as important as any bilateral relationship in the world. That really must underpin our partnership. That is the responsibility that together we bear.
And what we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool, that it's not acceptable, it's not hip to carry a gun anymore.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. And just really brainwash people.
I mean, California Republicans I just showed you are 30% of registration in the states because they're really stupid. And racist, but Republicans are 82% white. Loser. You got to go out there and you got to fight the law and you got to get people registered and you got to get them to vote. That's how you win in the American system.
How do you stop Republicans from voting? What would be your strategy to get the Republicans?
You can't. Republicans just you lose the information on the election in the mail. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it.
Black Panthers outside of the polling place.
Yeah, you do that.
The Black Panthers standing guard outside a polling place in Philadelphia. Does it look reminiscent? Remember this from 4 years ago? The organization said it was thinking about monitoring the election. Critics say it's more like intimidation. The Black Panthers also stood guard at polling places, as I just mentioned, 2008 in Philly. The group's leader with a nightstick in his hand. It looks very similar.
Very, very serious allegations of a pattern of behavior to the Department of Justice. Sworn testimony that indicates there's a pattern of behavior of refusing to enforce the laws in a racially neutral manner, ignoring the voter intimidation in Pima County, Arizona, ignoring voter intimidation in Philadelphia.
When you compare what people endured in the South in the 60s to try to get the right to vote for African Americans and to compare what people were subjected to there to what happened in Philadelphia, which was inappropriate, certainly that, but to call that, to put it, describe it in those terms, I think does a great disservice to people who put their lives on the line, who risked all for my people. For my people.
This system is going to be overthrown. It's going to mean a fight. And it's going to mean a lot of white people risking a lot of things when they finally join on the side of the black people and the people of Vietnam and around the world who have already begun the fight.
A federal grand jury in Detroit today charged the 13 top leaders of the Weathermen with plotting to bomb public buildings in Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Berkeley, California. Weathermen are the militant faction of the Students for a Democratic Society.
That the Weather Underground organization, which took credit for the bombing, is the same radical group which was responsible for the bombing of the U.S. Capitol in 1971 and the Pentagon in 1972.
The Weathermen participated in more than 20 bombings over a decade. Ayers admits to bombing the New York City Police Headquarters, the Capitol, and the Pentagon. On the morning of September 11, 2001, readers of the New York Times found these chilling words: "I don't regret setting bombs. I feel we didn't do enough." Spoken by a forgotten American radical, they would later come back to haunt Senator Obama. In 1995, future Senator Barack Obama was feted at a fundraising event in his Chicago neighborhood. The event was hosted by William Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. The Obama-Ayers relationship goes further back than the 1995 political coming-out party at Ayers' home. Obama was chosen as chairman of the board of the $50 million Chicago Annenberg Challenge. Ayers wrote the grant that founded the CAC and would have been closely involved with Obama's selection. They appeared on panel discussions together, and they served as directors of the Woods Fund together. Obama's affiliation with Ayers is made more troubling by the fact that neither Ayers nor Dorn are in any way repentant about their terrorist past.
I don't think we stipulated, maybe once in writing, but I don't think we stipulated the violent overthrow of the government. I think we felt that the government had to be overturned, and I think it has to be radically transformed, absolutely.
5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
I think that the older I get, the more agnostic I am about change. I think fundamental change is necessary. I think it's absolutely necessary to save the planet, to save humanity, to save the world. Fundamental change.
5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people.
The last above-ground weather, it was the Weathermen, or the Weather Underground, the last above-ground convention. And sitting in a room, and the question that was debated was it or was it not the duty of every good revolutionary to kill all newborn white babies? And at that point, it seemed like a relevant framing of an issue. The logic being, hey, look, through no fault of their own, these white kids are going to grow up to be part of an oppressive racial establishment internationally, and so really, you know, your duty is to kill newborn white babies.
I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.